Hello, everyone, and welcome to OneTake, a 15-minute interview series with InsurTech executives brought to you by InsurTech Denver. This is a unique series in that there are no edits and no do-overs. I'm Marc Wheeler, co-founder of InsurTech Denver, and with us today is Greg Murphy, EVP of North America for INSTANDA. So, hello, Greg. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, Mark. Happy to be here.
Well, let's get started. For those who are not familiar with the business, can you tell us about the company in your role as EVP of North America?
So, InstandA is a low-code, no-code policy administration platform and distribution platform for really any type of insurer. So, we're part of what I would call a new breed of policy administration systems that really just take the concept of providing policy administration and distribution to a whole nother level. We're all completely SaaS-based, and we're completely digital, and we allow an insurance company really to do most everything they need to do from a core perspective on one platform. And my role is executive vice president of the company in InstandA. So I lead and run our North American practice and am responsible for the entire P&L for this geography.
Well, for those who may not be familiar with the company, you have a global footprint, yes? And
We
could you
do.
share with us about that as well?
We do. We have a global footprint. Our company started in London with two ex-CIOs from Hiscox, and that's really where the company was born and grew up. And globally, right now, we have divisions here in North America. We have the European division as well. We also have a number of clients in the East, so Japan, Australia, and South Africa. And so we really have just really expanded, especially in the last couple of years. We are over 80 clients at this point in time.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for that. That's very, very helpful. Now, what brought you into insurance and into InsurTech specifically?
Well, I have been in financial services for, gosh, almost 35 years now. So it's been a long time. And I kind of grew up in the wealth management area and then took a tour of duty with life insurance. And in the past decade have spent my time in the P&C world. And I've always been on the carrier side. I've been on the manufacturing side of financial services. And I was actually a customer of InstandA before I decided to lead the group in North America. And I experienced the power of this platform and of these technologies in general. And when I saw what it did for me as a customer, I was able to launch products within 6 weeks, within 2 months. It was just a game changer for me. And I became such an evangelist at the last firm that I work with that the CEO of Instandis said, "Hey, you should really lead our North American business." And I took the leap and decided to give it a shot, and I've not looked back since.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, that's great. Yeah, we share a little bit of background. I was in the life insurance space as well for a
Hmm.
while, so know that pretty intimately. Now, you joined the company back in, I think it was May of 2020. So that was just as COVID was hitting the world. So what's changed in the business from then to now?
Well, it's a funny question, and actually, it's I joined in March of 2020. My first week at the company was when they closed, like the world closed down. The third week of March 2020. And so what's interesting about your question is I actually haven't known anything else. I've known mostly I started during COVID and have managed the company through the COVID experience. And so while I would say it's been difficult, and we would of course never wish a global pandemic on anybody. What's been really fascinating about it is we've grown exponentially. When I arrived in March of 2020, we had two clients in North America and we had four employees staring at me. And now, just right around 2 years later, we have 20 employees in North America. We have 25 clients in North America. And I'm not really sure if we would have experienced that without COVID. Uh, it was, while it was difficult kind of trying to figure out how to sell over Zoom and how to really engage with people. A lot of it has to do with trust, right? And trust over Zoom is something we all had to learn. But at the end of the day, people still had to have a business moving, right? And insurers still needed to get offerings to market. And oh, by the way, they needed to be digital. And so it was, in a strange way, it was actually a bit of a benefit for us.
Well, that's interesting. I think we all shifted on the way we did business, and I think that's carried over. I know that there are, organizations trying to bring people back into the office, and I understand the value to that. In other cases, I think we've discovered that, hey, we can do business this way, and
Mhm.
particularly a company like yours on the global world, on that side of the business, I think it'd be a real advantage, to be able to have those relationships and not have to be on a plane yet again, right?
Yeah, I would have to say, it's a little bit of a mix. I'm back on the road again, so I've been traveling a fair amount the last 6 months or so, and and I would say nothing replaces those in-person dialogues, and especially with technology like ours, because it really lends itself to a conference room and a whiteboard and a bunch of people throwing around ideas and taking those ideas off the whiteboard and making them happen directly in with the technology. And so that side of it, I think, is still really engaging, and we're doing more and more of it. But there are things that I think we will never do again in person, and we just won't spend the money to do them. Training, for example, we do all of our training virtually now, and it's really amped up our ability to take our scarce resources that are experts on our platform and just multiply them several times. So whereas we used to put a person on a plane and send them out to a client site for several days to do training, we just do it virtually now, and that's very accepted. And so I think it really depends on the situation, but yes, COVID's definitely changed our world. Some things for the good, some things for the not so good.
Agreed. Well, the training is a great example of
Hmm.
how we've been able to take and adapt and become more
Right.
efficient around all of that. Now, a question for you. When you think about policy administration and you think about the services and the products that you guys provide, what are
Mhm.
you addressing? I mean, what are the key issues and key advantages of working with you?
Well, every insurance company or MGA, they need a core system. So so you have to choose something, and even if that's coming off of spreadsheets, which by the way, there are still insurance companies that run on exclusively spreadsheets, right? So so really, it's one of those things where you need to choose something. And if you already have something, then you are either happy with it or you're not happy with it. And I would say most of the time that we find people that are not happy with their core platforms, it mostly has to do with age. A lot of the core platforms have been around for many years, and in fact, I would say when you look at the top three or four platforms and by sales, they were put in place and they were really developed before the iPhone even existed, right? So even the concept of digital technology was just not really there when a lot of the core platforms were built. So the pain that we see clients experiencing really is taking technology that was developed 20 years ago and trying to adapt it to a digital world where mobile's important and digitization of documents. Insurance is still full of a lot of forms, right? And but the digitization of that entire process is just what you need to do today, right? So what Instandard does very simply is we we allow an insurer to take their processes and really build them themselves on our platform. So we don't force you into any particular way of doing business. And once you design those processes for your customers, your back office is built out for you and your data model is created. And so it's just a very different way of building the policy administration environment. What it really lends itself to is it's a lot faster, it's significantly more flexible, and it's a fraction of the cost. And so that is what we bring to market, and that's what we're very proud of.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, thank you for that. Let me ask another question. When you think about the type of companies that you're either currently working with or that you look to
Mhm.
bring on board, is there a size or a stage of the business that you say, we're an ideal fit for you? give our audience a sense of what that looks like, what your ideal customer looks like.
Well, we have three different markets that we serve, and I would say there's one thing similar across all these markets, and that is we work with companies that are really trying to do something that's a bit different. So within Standa, we bring a new paradigm to the table where it's kind of this concept of you get to build whatever you want to yourself,
Right?
and you move very quickly as you build that.
Right.
The scary thing about that is not everybody knows what they want, right? So some companies are like, whoa, that's a little bit too scary for us. But those companies that really do well within Standa are the ones that say, you know what, we know where we want to go and we know how we want to get there. But the three markets we serve the MGA market. We're very popular in that market. The small to mid-sized insurance company is another target for us. And then a top 100 or a top 50 insurance company, we tend to really dominate kind of the specialty divisions of those companies. And that's really our sweet spot.
That's terrific. Well, that's very helpful. I know it's information for me, and I'm sure for the folks that are listening as well around all of that. When you think about, as we move into, next year, the balance of this year, we've got a lot of economic factors coming into play and, different things that are disrupting, external factors that are disrupting. What is on the horizon for Instanda that you want everyone to know about?
Well, I would say the first thing I want to say is that we just closed a $45 million fundraise. And for us, it's really it's our Series B. It's really our next set of rocket fuel to take our
Yep.
company to the next
Yep.
level. So for us, the next 2 or 3 years we see it as just an incredible period of growth. We know that there's economic instability. We absolutely get that. The really interesting thing about being in the insurance business is that it really thrives in almost any economic
Sure.
situation. When things are going well, insurance companies spend money. When things are not going so well, insurance companies still spend money. And it's we're very attractive for them because one of our value propositions is to bring capabilities at a fraction of the cost. So while I don't want to paint a completely rosy picture for the entire industry, I will say that for us in particular, we see a lot of growth ahead because we are tackling problems that need to be tackled regardless of the economic situation.
Yep. Well, I think that's true. We've seen a series of layoffs, that have
Mhm.
come through, and I think that's the impact of, the economic situations and insurance companies repositioning themselves.
Mhm.
We've all seen a rise in interest rates, which is good for the industry,
Mhm.
depending upon where you are. And I think the idea and the services that you provide from, efficiency standpoint, and looking at streamlining operational sides that are only a benefit. So, to your point, that there's still this effort that needs to take place. They're still going to invest, they're still going to engage to have a better product and better service for their customers out there.
Absolutely.
Terrific. All right. Well, that's kind of the business side of us. Now we're going to do a little bit of fun side for you. So, these are a series of rapid questions, give people a little insight about who you are and what you're all about. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Uh, who most influenced you in your life or career?
I would say my father.
And in what way?
He is very much wired to do what you love and to do it in the right way. And his philosophy in life is, don't burn any bridges, right? And so what that really lends itself to um, is approaching your career from not only your heart, but then doing it very, very honestly and very openly. And I would say that has very much shaped my career.
Very wise man there. After a long weekend, favorite beverage on a Friday night?
Oh, I'm a Scotch guy. I love Scotch. So usually Scotch from the Highlands.
Yep.
So any of those types of Scotches, I just love them.
Well, I think that's going to resonate with a lot of folks listening. Marvel or DC Comics?
Ooh, I have to choose Marvel.
All right. Famous superhero?
Oh, I'm just a big Spider-Man fan.
All right. So if you're outdoors, biking, running, or hiking?
Ooh, I like all three. If I had to choose one, I would say I'd probably say hiking.
Right. Friday night meal, is it sit down or is it takeout?
Oh, it's sit down, and it's usually some pretty interesting pizza at some really cool pizza restaurant.
All right. Foreign language you wished you spoke?
Well, my wife speaks Farsi, so I would love to be able to speak Farsi. I mean, I understand some of it, but I would really love to be more proficient in Farsi.
There you go. Pick a place and time. Where would you like to visit?
Ooh, um, well, I'll just tell you the thing that immediately popped into my mind. I'm a big fan of the show Mad Men, and so I just love the '60s. I'd love to go back to the '60s, and because it's a period of time where I was a really small child,
Yeah.
so I would love to experience that as an adult.
Very good. Very good. Are you an iPhone or an Android
Oh, iPhone
person?
all the way.
iPhone. All right. One person, current or past, you'd like to have dinner with?
Oh, I would love to have dinner with Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that?
I'm a big history fan. I've done tons of reading, and I could line up. I could easily give you a top 10 list of people I'd love to sit down with.
Sure.
But Abe's at the
Sure.
top because uh, just the way that he had to handle just adversity within our country. I just can't even imagine the amount of risk that he took, and just the amount of courage that he had to have. And I would just love to know him as a person, and and just to meet someone that really held this country together through a very hard time.
Yeah. Very noble. Very noble person on that. So, final question for you. If no one was watching, would you sing or dance?
Oh, I'd sing.
All right. Love it. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time giving us additional insights on Instanda, the service that you provide, and give us a little peek into who you are as well. We really appreciate this happening.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much.